Level 1. The bag. You are 25 years old and you work at a call center that pays you $16 an hour to read from a script and apologize for things that are not your fault. You have been doing this for 2 years. You are not particularly unhappy. You have a 2-bedroom apartment that you split with your roommate Jordan, who works construction during the day and sells to about a dozen people he knows on weekends. You have known what Jordan does since the 3rd week you live together. You have never thought of it as anything that involves you. In April, Jordan asks if you can hold something in your closet while he goes to visit his family for a week. He asks the way you ask someone to take in your mail. You say yes the same way you would say yes to the mail. He puts a bag on the shelf behind your winter coats and gives you a number to call if anything comes up, and that is the entire conversation. On the 3rd day, a guy named Dre comes to the door. He knows Jordan. He needs something. He doesn't know Jordan is away. You text Jordan and Jordan says to take care of it. You keep 20%. You don't ask what 20% of this particular thing amounts to because you can see roughly what's in the bag and you already know. You take care of it. Dre hands you cash at the door. The whole thing takes 4 minutes. You go back inside and count the money, and 20% of what Dre paid is $38. You sit with that for a moment. $38 for 4 minutes at the door. You make $16 an hour sitting in a call center chair for more than 2 hours to earn the same amount, and that's before tax. You put the $38 in your sock drawer and don't think about it anymore. Jordan comes back, takes what's left of the bag, squares up with you. He says you did good and asks if you want the arrangement going forward. You tell him you'll think about it. You think about it for approximately 40 minutes before texting him yes. The arrangement is simple. You hold. Jordan handles his customers himself most of the time. When he can't, when he's on a job site or busy or unavailable, he sends them to you and you handle it, and you keep 20% of whatever they pay. You don't need to source anything or manage anything or think about anything beyond opening the door and taking the money and texting Jordan the amount. You do this 6 times over the next 2 months and make $412. You spend it on nothing in particular. Groceries. A streaming subscription you'd canceled. 2 tanks of gas. The kind of money that disappears into the life you were already living and leaves no trace. What changes in August is not dramatic. Jordan gets 3 new customers in the same week. All of them referrals from people he already knows, and he's in the middle of a big job that runs 6 days a week. He asks if you can handle all 3 while he's stretched. You say yes. Then he asks if you'd be comfortable buying a small supply yourself so you're not dependent on what's in his closet. He tells you the number to call, tells you what to ask for, tells you the price. He says he can introduce you properly once the job wraps up. You think about this for 2 days. You go to work on both of those days. You read from the script. You apologize for things that are not your fault. You eat lunch at your desk. You drive home. You think. On the 3rd day, you call the number. The person who picks up is a man named Ray who sounds like he's watching television. You say Jordan's name. Ray says how much. You say the amount Jordan told you to ask for. Ray tells you where and when. The whole call is 40 seconds. You go. You meet Ray in the parking lot of a grocery store 2 neighborhoods over. You hand him money. He gives you a bag. You drive home. You put the bag in the closet where Jordan's used to be. You are not Jordan's arrangement anymore. You are your own. Level 2. The phone. The second phone is not a plan. It is a solution to a specific problem. Your personal phone has your mother's number on it, your aunt's, your employer's when you still had one, the group chat from school, the contacts that make up a life that has nothing to do with what is in your closet. You don't want those 2 things in the same place. You buy the second phone on a Tuesday with cash at a phone shop 2 neighborhoods from your apartment. It costs $47. You don't think of it as a decision. You think of it as keeping things tidy. By October, you have 17 customers. None of them came from anywhere except a previous customer. A friend mentioned you. A roommate asked. Someone at a job said they knew someone who knew someone. You have never advertised, never approached anyone, never introduced yourself as something you shouldn't be. The list grew on its own. You watch it the way you would watch a plant you didn't mean to water as often as you did. You tell yourself you'll stop at 20. You reach 20 and the number doesn't feel like a ceiling. You quit the call center in September. Your supervisor asks if you found something better. You tell him you're going freelance. He wishes you luck. You return your headset and your employee badge and you drive home and you sit in the apartment and it feels different to be there at 11 in the morning on a Tuesday with nowhere to be. You order food to the apartment. You think, I could do this. The money comes in small amounts frequently. You don't touch the supply until you've moved at least half of what you bought. You buy in amounts that feel manageable. You hold rules about the customers. Nobody who is visibly in crisis. Nobody you haven't met through someone you already know. Nobody who asks to bring someone new without telling you first. You don't think of these as business rules. You think of them as common sense. The cash sits in a shoebox in the bedroom wardrobe, then a second shoebox, then a bag in the corner of the wardrobe that you try not to look at directly because it has gotten to a size that requires looking at directly. By December, you have $31,000 that you have nowhere to put and no story for and no way to account for if anyone ever asked. Marcus finds you in November through a friend of a customer you've had since July. He texts the second phone on a Wednesday afternoon. He's low-key about it. A short message, a name you recognize, a question. You meet him at the door the way you meet everyone, and he's ordinary in the way that people you trust often are. He's 28 years old. He works in IT. He buys on Fridays, and he always pays an exact change, and he never asks for anything unusual. By January, he's texting you about things unrelated to why he has the number. A question about something on TV. A joke that doesn't require a response. You respond to both. Ray gets arrested in February on a charge that has nothing to do with you. A traffic stop, a search, a previous warrant he didn't mention. You find out 3 days later when his phone goes straight to voicemail and a mutual contact tells you what happened. You feel something you don't examine too closely, and then you move on because the supply question requires immediate attention. Ray's source is a man you met once in a car park at night, who spoke 14 words to you and handed you a bag and named a price. You don't have a number for him. You have a method for getting a message to him through a third person and you use it. He responds within a day. The arrangement continues. The supply gap lasts 11 days. You lose 2 customers to other arrangements during those 11 days, and you get them back within a week of resupplying. What you don't know in February. Ray gave 3 names when the arresting officers offered him a deal in the first hour of custody. One of those names is yours. A narcotics file opens in your city with your name at the top. The assigned officer's first step is finding someone who already knows you. That step takes 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, you move half of what you have left, text Marcus twice about things unrelated to business, and sleep without difficulty every night. You are on the second phone texting Marcus about nothing in particular when it happens. You don't know it's happening. The phone in your hand has no idea what it's part of. Level 3. The network. The restructure happens the same way everything else has happened, not as a decision, but as the next step after smaller steps that each made sense on their own. 4 of your customers have been buying consistently for more than 3 months. 3 of them have mentioned that people they know have asked where they get their supply. You have not encouraged this, but you file it away. It becomes relevant in March. The relay method that replaced Ray works for February volume. It does not work for what March requires. The third person who carries your messages to the source introduces you to Mike. One lunch, a plain restaurant, a booth in the back. Mike is in his 40s, careful and professional. He sets the terms in the first 10 minutes without raising his voice. The quantity goes up. The price per unit comes down. You collect from a different location every time. You never call him directly. You never have his number. You shake hands. You finish your lunch. You have never met someone who made a significant change to your life, feels so much like a routine transaction. The supply running through your operation triples in 60 days. You stop selling directly to most of the customer list. For people from the list now buy from you in larger quantities and distribute within their own circles. You don't know the people in their circles. You don't meet them, don't have their numbers, don't know their names. You supply for people. They supply everyone else. The operation is 2 layers deep and your hands are on only the first layer. What you don't understand yet is that under federal conspiracy law, your hands are on all of it. Your monthly revenue in April is $24,000. Your take after supply costs is $11,000. You buy a car in May, $8,000 cash, registered in your aunt's name because she owes you a favor and because you don't want another registered asset that doesn't match your income. She asks no questions. You tell her you'll handle everything. You do. You begin making small cash deposits at different bank branches, never the same branch twice in the same week, never an amount that requires paperwork. You tell each teller you do freelance graphic design. 3 months of this builds a paper trail that says moderately successful freelancer. It is thin, but you have convinced yourself thin is enough. You move to a better apartment in June. 2 bedrooms, a doorman building. You tell your mother you got a long-term client. She visits in August and sits in the kitchen and tells you she's glad things are going well. The cash is now in 3 locations. $52,000 in a storage unit paid for under a name that isn't yours. $61,000 behind the water heater in the utility room. $67,000 in a locked suitcase at the back of the wardrobe. $180,000 total. You count it on the first of every month, the way someone checks a savings account, with the satisfaction of a number going the right direction. Marcus has been around the whole time. He buys on Fridays the way he always has. But starting in April, he also comes by on Wednesdays for no particular reason. A meal, a conversation, something on TV. He asks questions, not aggressive ones, curious ones. How you decide on amounts. How you handle a customer who becomes a problem. You answer because he is the person you talk to most honestly about what your life looks like. You don't examine the questions as a category. You answer each one and move on. In September, you notice that Marcus has come by 4 times in the past month and bought exactly once. You notice this the way you notice a lot of things, clearly, briefly, without interest in what it might mean. People are irregular. Marcus has always been low maintenance. You file it and move on. What is happening in September? A DEA wiretap running on Mike's phone captures your name on a call made in August, not your call, a call about you. A name, a quantity, a location, mentioned in passing. The wiretap has been running for 6 months for reasons unrelated to you. Your name arrives on page 41 of a 43-page transcript. The case agent reads it on a Thursday morning. He pulls the narcotics file Ray opened, the one with your name at the top, quietly building for 8 months. He makes a note and schedules a meeting. By the time the meeting happens, Marcus has been by 3 more times. He brought food once. You watch 2 episodes of something you both liked. You have not once thought to ask why he's been around so much. You don't think to ask because you trust him. He has been your friend for almost 2 years. The friendship is the most reliable thing in your life right now. That is exactly what it was designed to be. Level 4. The Wire. The DEA moves on a Wednesday morning in October. Simultaneous arrests across 2 counties. You, for subdealers, and the relay contact who introduced you to Mike. Mike is arrested in a different state at the same hour. The timing is not coincidental. You do not find out until later that the DEA had been ready for 3 weeks and waited until the case against everyone above you was also ready before moving on any of you. You are in the apartment when they knock. 2 agents, plain clothes, badges visible. You open the door because the knock sounds routine. It isn't. The second phone is on the kitchen table. It has been on the kitchen table for 19 months. Everything the DEA needs from it they already have through Marcus. The phone itself is almost beside the point by now. They bag it anyway. The charges are federal. Conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance. The weight the prosecution attributes to you is not just what you personally moved. It is the aggregate weight of the entire conspiracy beneath you, which is how federal conspiracy law works, and which you did not know until your public defender explained it to you in the county jail on the afternoon of your arrest. The mandatory minimum for that weight is 9 years. 4 of the 5 people arrested that morning cooperate before the end of the day. The relay contact cooperates in the first hour. 2 of the subdealers cooperate before noon. The other 2 by early evening. They all have the same lawyer's advice and the same exposure and the same calculation to make. Each of them makes it the same way. You are the last to understand what the case looks like from outside your own position in it. At the first hearing you find out about Marcus. His full name is in the cooperation agreement attached to the prosecution's disclosure. 17 recorded conversations over 19 months. The recordings cover the supply chain, the cash locations, the subdealer structure, the relay contact's identity, and a complete description of the lunch at which you met Mike. Marcus attended 17 Wednesday visits and 3 Friday transactions wearing a wire the DEA provided and maintained throughout the operation. He was recruited after a traffic stop 19 months before your arrest, 2 months before he first texted the second phone. You sit with this for a long time. Not with anger. The anger comes later. First with the specific disorientation of understanding that something you believed was one thing was always something else. The Wednesday dinners. The questions you answered because he was the person you talked to most honestly. The food he brought once. The 2 episodes of the show you both liked. The message you sent him the morning of your arrest about nothing in particular. All of it documented. All of it on tape. None of it what you thought it was. Your mother attends every day of the trial. She sits in the third row of the gallery, and she does not speak. She is there when they play the recordings. She is there when they read the weights. She is there when the verdict comes in. You do not look at her when the verdict is read because you cannot, and she does not make you. The sentencing hearing lasts 40 minutes. The judge reads the guidelines, asks if you understand each charge, and sentences you to 9 years in a federal correctional facility. Your public defender had told you the guidelines range before the hearing. The number was not a surprise. It is still the worst thing you have heard in a room. You serve 6 years. You are released at 33 years old with a federal drug conviction, no savings, no car, and a mother who took 3 years to answer your calls regularly, and another year after that before the calls felt like they used to. The $180,000 was seized on the morning of your arrest. All 3 locations, all 3 amounts. The storage unit, the water heater, the suitcase. Marcus had told them where to look. Marcus is not in any of the places you knew him to be. The DEA relocates cooperating witnesses when the case is significant enough. This case was significant enough. You do not know where he is. You do not look. What you do instead, eventually, is work. A drug court case management program in the city where you grew up hires formerly convicted people specifically because they understand the system from inside it. Your caseload is people who have been offered the same calculation your sub-dealers were offered and are trying to decide whether to take it. You help them understand what the calculation looks like from the other side of it. You sit across from them in a plain office and you tell them what you know. You know a lot. The wire was always on. The friendship was the operation. You never thought to ask which one was real.